Hello, this is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan, Google Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Alright, I got a good podcast plan for you today. The first thing I'm going to do is slightly, not really, but kind of change my opinion on the Lamar Jackson news yesterday, stating that he didn't care about the criticism he gets for failing in the playoffs year after year. I still do stand on the hill that he has time to fix it, and I do think he'll win a Super Bowl one day. Not this. I don't think he's going to get it this year. But his answer didn't really give me the impression that he wants to. Because in order to win a Super Bowl, he's going to have to fix whatever is holding him back in the playoffs. Because his playoff stats are concerning. It's not like he's not losing in the playoffs and playing well. Like Josh Allen hasn't won a Super Bowl yet or made it to one. Like Joe Burrow and Mahomes don't get criticism because, they've been to the biggest stage. But Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, he's 2-4. He has a 57% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 6 picks, and a 75 quarterback rating. So it's not like he's playing well and losing. He's one of the main reasons they're losing. His lack of, he's just not performing well. Like Josh Allen, he's 5-5. Not the best record, but 21 touchdowns, 4 picks, with the quarterback rating of 100. Seems pretty solid to me. Like, his record may be 500, but his stats are impressive. Lamar's stats are a different story. But his answer, he was talking about, we had these injuries. And he's not wrong. There were injuries, but, the injuries on your team don't really contribute to... It doesn't explain Lamar's own poor performance in the playoffs. So his answer does kind of concern me. And the only way he's going to fix his problem in the playoffs is if he confronts it. But he doesn't seem to want to do that. He seems to be like, we'll be fine once people come back. But, last year it wasn't... In the last 2 years, it hasn't just been injuries. It's been Lamar's performance, the questionable game plan last year as a whole. The Ravens and Lamar both have things to fix in order to fix this playoff problem. And if you're just going to talk about the injuries you had, that's not going to happen. So, I do think, even though I think it will work out for them, but I just wanted to express a bit of a small concern I have in that area. Alright, so we're going to move into a more positive story. So Tom Brady spoke about Belichick on a podcast yesterday, and some people are taking it out of context because he said something about Bill Belichick is he's going to be authoritative. But what people are forgetting is what he said before that, which is that he said Belichick is the greatest coach in league history. He also said that if he were starting a team, he would want Bill Belichick to be his coach. If he got to select any coach in all of NFL history, he would pick Bill Belichick. And I feel like people like me and a lot of people that are in professional sports media, they have kind of started, me and them, I count on this as well, because I've said the same thing about Belichick. I've expressed concern, about he is below 500 without Brady. These last few years haven't been good for him, like, from a drafting standpoint. So there is that little bit of doubt, about him. Like, were those 2 decades of coaching really him, or was it Tom Brady? Tom Brady's amazing leadership, because Brady went to a new team and won immediately. But I do think it's important to note that Belichick, when Brady got to Belichick, he was just a 6th-round pick out of Michigan. And yeah, Brady put in a lot of hard work, but it was Belichick that developed him along the way. And yeah, he wasn't able to do that with Mac Jones, but, not every quarterback is like Brady. And pretty much, there isn't a quarterback like Brady. There never has been. No quarterback with his kind of discipline. And willingness to work hard. There's very few athletes like Brady. Let alone football players. But there are a lot of positives about Belichick. The reason I don't think he's going to coach again isn't because he's not a smart coach. It's just, I don't see, I don't see how Belichick's in the 70s. Like, why would you, I don't see him going into a new coaching job, at 72 years old. And he has, I know people are pointing out fits for him, like, Cowboys, Eagles. There was a rumor about the Falcons earlier this year. But, like, I don't know why Belichick would want to do that, and I don't know why teams would want to do that either. Why are you gonna hire a 72-year-old coach who, let's be real, that's not a long-term solution. You're not gonna have him for 20 years. I'm sure Bill Belichick loves coaching. I don't think he loves it enough to be coaching into his 90s. That's something not even Tom Landry or Don Shula did. But, yeah, credit. I feel like I discredit Belichick a lot, so credit where credit is due. He was the one responsible for developing Brady, who became the greatest quarterback of all time by a wide margin. He's in a tier of his own, and I would say the tier after him is Montana and Peyton Manning. But, for a while there, I would have told you, 10 years ago, I would have told you tier 1 is Brady, Montana, and Peyton Manning. But, after that Super Bowl win with the Bucs, and up until now, I'm telling you, it's Tom Brady and everyone else after that. There's a major gap between him and someone as talented and smart as Peyton Manning. That's crazy to consider. And that was Belichick's doing. As was keeping the team at the top of the league for as long as they were. 6 rings in 20 years is something no team has done. And that's not... You can't keep the same roster for 20 years. So a lot of credit does go to Belichick and that front office, for signing different players year after year. When you look at it, the only constants were Belichick and Brady for those 20 years. They cycled through coordinators, receivers, different defensive players, and they made it all work. That's not just It isn't just that's not just Tom Brady's doing. That's Bill Belichick's doing as well. All right. So Steph Curry, he removed the Warriors from his Instagram bio, and this is news, I guess, because for some reason there are people that like to stalk athletes and celebrities' social media accounts. I don't like to do that, but I did hear news about this. I almost like don't want him and LeBron to team up, and I don't think they will, because I don't think any team's willing to pay that price. Nor do I think it's a good idea. I said this a few weeks ago. Steph and LeBron worked well together for 6 games and 5 exhibition games. And games that were shorter, so more suitable for the older guys. You know, it was a significantly less intense commitment than a full NBA season is. So yeah, they worked together then, but I don't think they would work together for a full NBA season. At all. The problem is, like I said, I don't think he'll leave the war. I just don't see him. Sorry about that. I don't see him leaving the Warriors. You know, because I have a similar feel. Like him with the Warriors feels like Kobe and the Lakers, almost, or like Dirk, or like Tim Duncan and the Spurs. It doesn't feel like a Jordan and Bulls situation. Like when Jordan retired, he wasn't going to come back to the Bulls because he hated Jerry Krause. And Phil Jackson wasn't there. But with Curry, it's an entirely different story. You know, he has a great relationship with Steve Kerr in that front office, so it's hard for me to believe, no matter how bad the roster is, that he'll leave that. So, I mean, another thing is, like, okay, you think he's going to leave. My next question would be, where do you think he's going to go? Because if he goes to the Lakers, he ain't getting much better than what he has with the Warriors. I'll tell you that much. The Warriors are probably going to be a 10 seed play-in team, and the Lakers are probably going to be like a 7 seed play-in team. So he's not exactly getting an upgrade by going to the Lakers. So, I mean, I don't know. I really have no idea what's going to happen with Steph Curry. I'm going to stick with my guess that he'll stay with the Warriors for now. And whatever news comes out later on will obviously have an impact on my take, but that's my take for now. All right, so the Commanders made an interesting move. We're shifting to football. The Commanders made an interesting move trading Jahan Dotson. Just like we're only like 2 weeks away from the season to start, by the way. But they traded Jahan Dotson, their number 2 receiver, to the Eagles. I think it's very important to note that this is an in-division trade 2 weeks before the season, so it's an interesting move at a very interesting time. I think this is actually good news for Jayden Daniels, because if they're willing to trade their number 2 receiver, and their receiving core is pretty lackluster outside of Terry McLaurin, they must have some hope in Jayden Daniels. They must have a lot of faith over there. Jahan Dotson is just maybe not getting along with Jayden Daniels in practice. I have no idea what happened there, but I'm going to take it to mean that they have a lot of faith in Jayden Daniels, which is good news moving forward. On the Eagles side of the spectrum, they appear to be going all in. I mean, the Eagles, I don't know what to make of the Eagles, because I know they're not. I have them winning their division, but I don't know if they're going to go far in the playoffs. I mean, I know Kellen Moore, he looks promising as an offensive coordinator for them. But, I don't know. Like the Eagles, I know they made it to the Super Bowl, went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs 2 years ago, but that was with Shane Steichen, who was the best offensive coordinator in the league at the time. And they had a better offensive line. Now, what's different from there now is their O-line isn't as good. They don't have Shane Steichen, so I think they slightly downgraded. I think Kellen Moore's a good offensive coordinator. Still a downgrade from Shane Steichen. But they did get Saquon Barkley, so that is an upside. I just don't know how much of an upside it's going to be. So I think they win their division, probably win a playoff game, but I don't consider them an NFC Championship contender right now. I mean, to be fair, I don't really see anyone making the NFC Championship other than the Lions and Niners right now. I think the Rams are a dark horse. I think, as biased as I'm going to sound, I think the Packers could be a dark horse as well. But really, I know I hate picking the same matchup 2 years in a row, but I think it is going to be a Lions-Niners rematch. But that's all going to depend on the playoff seeding. The Lions and Niners might face in the divisional round, and then that will lead them into facing the Rams, Eagles, or Packers in the NFC Championship. So I don't know. It's all going to depend on playoff seeding and how it all shakes out, but I do think the best two teams in the NFC are undisputably right now the Lions and Niners. But yeah, the Eagles, I know they have a lot of offensive talent. My question is with their coaching. That's my big question with the Eagles. But we'll see how they do. All right. So Robert Saleh made it official that Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the Jets starters will sit the preseason finale. With the Jets, I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I've said the same thing the last few weeks, and so has a lot of people. A lot of sportscasters. The Jets, there is always going to be a glimmer of doubt with them because of Rodgers' health. But I am a big believer that if they lean more on Breece Hall than they do on Aaron Rodgers, they're going to have a very successful season. Because you do have to be careful about Aaron Rodgers. You have to face the reality and treat Aaron Rodgers like he's a 40-year-old and not a 30-year-old anymore. In his 30s, he was an MVP, 4-time MVP to be precise. But he's not there anymore. 40-year-old quarterback coming off a surgery. So, Breece Hall is in a much different situation. He's younger. He's coming off the best year he's had. So I would put more of my faith in him and make him the focal point of the offense if I were the Jets. So now we are actually going to talk about baseball, something that I don't do often, but Aaron Judge homered twice yesterday, moved the Yankees into first in the AL, and earlier today they actually shut out the Guardians. Garrett Cole got his 150th career win, giving up just one hit. Aaron Judge hit another homer. Aaron Judge, he is building quite an impressive resume. I think this is the best we've seen Aaron Judge. If you look at him this season, he is second in batting average, first in home runs, first in RBIs, first in total bases, first in WAR, first in slugging percentage, first in on-base percentage. He is dominating the league right now. Him and Shohei Ohtani are dominating the league right now. At least hitting wise. I mean, those guys are fantastic. And I mean, I think this is what draws a lot of audiences to the whole Dodgers-Yankees narrative. You know, two biggest markets in baseball. And then, you know, you got the two biggest stars in baseball. They would be going head-to-head. It would be a great matchup. They're both currently standing at first in their respective conferences. And like I said, this was a huge series win for the Yankees. I said this a few weeks ago. I said after they play the Tigers, the Guardian series is very crucial. Since the Yankees, that's their biggest threat in the AL right now. In the American League, no one else is really threatening the Yankees except for the Orioles and the Guardians. You know, they have a pretty good gap on the Royals right now and the Twins and the Astros. But they're only a game ahead of the Orioles, and they're currently a game and a half ahead of the Guardians, so it's really tight in those areas, but, you know, I mean, that was, like I said, that was the crucial series win. That should give them a lot of momentum going forward as we enter the last third of the season. Or what is it? I think it might be the last fourth of the season or something. I don't know. There's like 35 games left still. But, yeah, good for the Yankees. Good for Judge. Good for baseball. All right, so I saw this on The Herd earlier today. Jason McIntyre was filling in for Colin Cowherd. He gave he told us the 6 teams that could threaten Kansas City's title. Now, he gave the New York Jets, Niners, Bengals, Lions, Texans, and Eagles. I would like to make a slight revision. And I would also like to rank the teams in terms of how much of a threat they pose. At 5, I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. They look really promising. I think, pound for pound, their roster is better than Kansas City. What does concern me is that DeMeco Ryans, as good as he looks, he does not have the playoff experience that Andy Reid has. And overall, as a team, the Texans are very inexperienced compared to the Chiefs, and that's going to be their biggest downfall. But one of my hot takes earlier this week was that the Texans will make the AFC Championship against the Bengals. So that would mean that either the Bengals or Texans have to beat the Chiefs to get there. I think very much the Texans can. Number 4 is the Lions. I want to put them higher, but I don't think I can because you could say they were, a bad call or a bad decision by Dan Campbell away from making the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, but they beat the Niners, who were ultimately not able to beat the Chiefs. Or no, sorry, they didn't beat the Niners. What I'm saying is they were close to beating the Niners, but the Niners weren't able to beat the Chiefs last year. And the Chiefs, they're going to be just as good this year. I just don't see a three-peat happening this year because I think other teams got better. But the Lions' problem is similar to the Texans, where they're a little more experienced because Jared Goff, like C.J. Stroud, I think he's incredibly talented, but he's a second-year quarterback. That's hard to ignore. As great as he is, there's only so much you can do in your second year. Like, there's very few second-year quarterbacks that win a Super Bowl, let alone knock off the reigning champion and the best quarterback in the league, Mahomes. So that's my biggest worry with C.J. Stroud. Jared Goff, on the other hand, he has been in the Super Bowl with the Rams. He didn't do very good, but he's been there before. You know, he's went through the playoffs before. And, you know, that's why I had the Lions ahead of the Texans, but Dan Campbell's inexperience and the rest of the roster, I think, is going to hinder their chances against the Chiefs. Number 3, this may be a hot take, but I have the Buffalo Bills. Like I said, I think they are a little bit better than people are giving them credit for. I think the Chiefs are going to, or not the Chiefs, the Dolphins are going to be the team that misses the playoffs. But listen, the Bills, they have been in multiple shootouts with the Chiefs over the past few years. And this isn't a list of who I think will make the AFC Championship. This is a list of who I think can threaten the Chiefs. If the Bills make the playoffs and they face the Chiefs, I'm not doubting that they could beat the Chiefs in the second round. If it comes down to it. Every time they face the Chiefs, they have given them a run for their money. Even last year when we thought the Bills roster were going to be so much worse. The Bills always give the Chiefs a run for their money. And if they, like I said, if they go to the playoffs again, I would not sleep on the Bills. And the reason they're ahead of the Lions and Texans is not because they're more talented, it's because they're more experienced. That's a big thing in the playoffs. At number 2, I have the Bengals. I want to put them 1 because they are the only team to beat the Chiefs in the last 3 years in the playoffs. You know what? I'm going to make a slight change. I'm going to say it's a tie at number 1 between the Bengals and Niners. The Niners took the Chiefs to overtime in this last Super Bowl. Part of me feels that the Niners are due. The reason I worry about them is because CMC, I don't know how his health is going to hold up with the volume he's gotten the past 2 years. But the Bengals, I have a similar concern with Burrow's health. But yeah, Bengals and Niners are the top 2 threats to the Chiefs right now. Going through for a 3-peat. Now, those are my top 5. And right outside the top 5 would be the Jets and the Eagles. I believe I do think there are actually 7, not 6 teams that can realistically beat the Chiefs. I am adding the Bills in there. Complain if you want. But, like I said, I'm using numbers. Alright? Like, the Bills, every time they face the Chiefs, they have given them hell. And yeah, the Chiefs come out on top, but in games that are shootouts, anything can happen. It's all about who gets the ball last. And if the Bills get the ball last, they can beat the Chiefs. So cry all you want about it, but it's true. The numbers support it. You know? And I do believe the Jets can beat the Chiefs. I do. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying I think the Texans, Lions, Bills, Bengals, and Niners have a better chance at it than the Jets do. You know, there's not... I don't know. I don't think I'm crazy for thinking that. I really don't. Like, I honestly think I'm higher on the Jets than most analysts are right now. And I am telling you, the Bills are being undervalued right now when it comes to what a threat they pose to the Chiefs. All right, let's move on to a team that doesn't have a chance of beating the Chiefs. And probably won't even make the playoffs, but that is the Denver Broncos. So Bo Nix became the first rookie to be named Week 1 starter since John Elway. My biggest thing here is, I'm excited to see Bo Nix. Like I said, he is my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But I am most excited for this for Sean Payton. Because I do believe Sean Payton is one of the greatest coaches of our generation. And he has a chance to cement his legacy as a coach by turning yet another team around. A lot of people forget how bad the Saints were before Sean Payton got there. And he made them a serious playoff contender every single year since then. He even made them a Super Bowl champion one year. So if he turns this thing in Denver around and makes them a playoff contender, that cements his legacy to me as a Hall of Fame coach and one of the greatest coaches of our generation. So I know some people are down with him from after last year, but I think we're going to find this year that what he did last year was incredibly impressive. We're going to find that team last year should not have won 7 games. All right, let's move on to the Dolphins. So Mike McDaniel spoke on the Flores to kind of comment exchange this past week. He said it doesn't concern him at all, and honestly, it shouldn't. It really shouldn't concern anyone. I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest with you. Why would the Dolphins be concerned? I mean, I think it's a lot more of a problem for Brian Flores than it is for the Dolphins, because the Dolphins, I know I said they won't make the playoffs this year, but they have seemingly hit their stride in their offense. Their offense was the best last year. They seemingly figured out how to use Tua properly. Like I said, Tua is the guy that works for that offense. And there's a real possibility that I'm wrong on them. It's very possible. I mean, when you look at it last year, they had a great year. They unfortunately ran into the Chiefs in the playoffs and lost. Now, their biggest problem was how much worse Tua was in cold weather games than he was in, Miami games. So, that is something he has to work on. But, yeah, it puts a damper on Brian Flores' chances to become a head coach again. But it doesn't really hinder anyone else's career on the Dolphins. Brian Flores, I think the biggest problem with him isn't that, I told you, I don't think it's that he can't coach. I think he is a great coach. And that's why he did get another job. He's the defensive coordinator of the Vikings. The reason he's not the head coach is because he didn't get fired because of his lack of talent as a coach. He got fired because he couldn't get along with Tua or the GM. He couldn't get along with the front office or the starting quarterback. That's not good. You don't want a guy like that running your team. So, and now Tua saying how Brian Flores was a jerk to him and treated him like crap. That is going to put a major damper. If he was, I don't know if he was planning on becoming a coach again, but if he was, this is no help to his case. All right. So, Kyle Shanahan was asked about Brandon Ayuk, he said there's no update on him. I mean, like I said, I really don't think it's necessary to pay him as much as he's asking for. I don't think he's worth it. And I truly don't think they need him to be a Super Bowl team. But I guess the good news for them is Ayuk is now holding in, meaning he is hanging around the team, and the organization seems pretty confident that he's going to sign, that they're going to get a deal done pretty soon. So their noisy offseason is being put to an end, which is good for them. And, I guess it doesn't hurt to have Brandon Ayuk. I feel like they're going to regret paying him as much as they are. But short term, I think it's going to work out for them very well. All right, so Russell Wilson is not concerned with the Steelers' offense right now. If I were talking to him right now, I would say, why the hell not? Because that has been what is hindering them from being a respectable team for the last 5 years. It's the offense. It's not the defense. Defense is always good in Pittsburgh, but it's... I don't know. It's ridiculous to me that they're trying to, like they're not doing justice how bad the offense is. Like, the situation in Pittsburgh is not good. They have George Pickens, right? He's a good receiver, I'll give you that, but their O-line's not good. Your running back situation isn't exactly great. And your choices for quarterback are between an aging Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, who is not even close to proven yet. So, I mean, I don't know why they're downplaying what they have, the problem they have right now, but I guess it's not my problem. All right. So Rachaad White had an interesting phrase for Baker Mayfield, saying he looks like an action figure this year at camp. And like I said with the Bucs, I mean, that whole division is just not exciting at all. It's really a situation where if you win that division, you're getting bounced the first round by the Packers, Rams, or potentially the Cowboys. So... I mean, I like the Buccaneers. I like that Baker Mayfield had a bounce-back year last year, but I don't see any point in getting high on them when they're not really anything to write home about. All right, so final story. Jerod Mayo, Patriots head coach, says that Drake May is 100% ready. He hasn't named a starter yet, but he did say Drake May is 100% ready, which is, I mean, it's good. Like I said, I think what coaches say about quarterbacks speaks volumes. And yeah, no coach is going to come out and say the situation's bad, but you can usually tell when they're high on a quarterback and when they aren't. Like, if you look at Kyle Shanahan's presser about Trey Lance, he was never really talking... He never really had anything great to say about Trey Lance. He did his best to stay positive, but you could tell that he did not think Trey Lance was the guy. That was his gut feeling, and you could tell based on this presser. But yeah, the Patriots, I don't see them doing anything great this year. The biggest... I think honestly, the biggest thing the biggest story they're gonna have this year is Drake May, to see if he was worth the price. If he even gets to start at any point in the year. My gut's telling me Bailey Zappi will be the week 1 starter. And I mean, that's just not exactly the best situation to be in. But yeah, I mean, the Patriots are looking at probably anywhere from the 1st to 3rd overall pick next year. But all right, this is an over 40-minute podcast. That's pretty solid. But all right. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose Dylan, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose Dylan. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.